What is self-mastery? And why would you want it? Why don't you have it? Why do people keep talking about it so much? What will it do for you in your life? And why do you even care? And I'm going to talk about that a lot more today because that was a message that I received from Wilhelm, and it said how to achieve, or you said you can achieve. I thought that's interesting. You can achieve self mastery. And then what I did is I put together a whole bunch of messages because that's what I was told to do. Because then you start to understand that you achieve it over time. You achieve it as you move into a different state of your understanding of who you are and why you were born. And there are many different ways that people have developed over time to be able to achieve that. And you've heard of many of them or probably studied them. But I was obviously given my own, and I can tell you what the results are, and I can tell you what you will achieve and what you will accomplish. But I decided to do something else. I put something down. I went to do a little search because I wanted to give you real information, and then I wanted to see if I could match that information and then explain it to you, because we're in a different time in our world now. And I've often talked about I was given this philosophy. A philosophy is comes into the world when the world changes, when society changes, and we have to operate in a new way. And then we use all the information that came from all those others before, and then we put it together, and we start to live different lives, individually and also as our world, as our civilization. But we can get stuck, and we're really can get stuck during this period, which is why I had received all of my work that I have called Your Life Operating Instructions was the philosophy, but it's why I created Your Last Development Program, because we were moving through a dynamic change in our society and our civilization. And because of the life that I've lived, I was received this information. And the thing that was the most challenging was to take it to a different realm, a realm of consciousness. You see, because we have these different ideas about consciousness, because some people will take it and put it into religion or something like that. My work said you don't have to do that. You just have to recognize that you were born with purpose and for a reason, and you just have to develop it. But then we also understand that as we live in a society, that we start to form different ideas and beliefs about who we are because we pick them up. And then people come along like me that say, oh, maybe we should operate in a different way. And I did something also because the message the other day said that racism and misogyny halt your progression. That's within each of us and also in our world. Because when you start understanding science, you will get that you have always existed, let's say, you have a lineage, you have a connection to others, but it's always something that is limited within us and within our world. And so as we live, and whenever that might be, in a society, our obligation is to become our authentic self, meaning we're remembering our importance, our connection to source, to God, and that's what we're doing. But sometimes it comes about in different ways. And mine came about every single day for more than 35 years. That's why I said I've created a philosophy. And I'm going to give you a sample of that in that message, so I'll attach a link to that. But it's on my site, anyadvicefortoday.com. You can read it there. But you'll see it went back to 2008. And the reason that Wilhelm did that is because there's an energetic connection to certain planets and galaxies as they move around. We don't always understand that, and we're only beginning to understand now how those movements and that energy affect us each individually depending on the path we're living, our evolutionary path, our evolutionary role, and everyone has one. And what I was told and what this philosophy said is that every single person is born with worth and value, but they've just not known that because they've picked up something else from others who came before, but also they haven't recognized that the reason that they're born is to move beyond all of those limitations and restrictions and bring in something new. And every person has the ability to do that. Mine was a little challenging because I had to do it my entire life. So now at 73, I can tell everyone, yes, you can achieve self-mastery. And other wonderful things will come about as a result of that. But let me show you just the general things that I got from this little document I put together just to talk about it a little bit more. And it's this. Okay, so first of all, what is self mastery? And self mastery leads to profound personal external results. Some of the key outcomes include emotional resilience. You can navigate challenges, stress, and setbacks with more composure and clarity as you're less controlled by emotional reactions. And more people are controlled now during this time, this movement in our world, by emotional reactions. We've seen it, and you've probably felt it. You may have even not understood why you were having some of the emotions that are coming up, because some of them might have been embedded, some of them might have been old, but as you release them, you start gaining more of your self mastery as you're living now. Increase clarity and focus. When mastery over your thoughts and actions, with mastery over your thoughts and actions, you'll make decisions more aligned with your long term goals, resulting in greater productivity and fulfillment. Now, I couldn't have told you that 35 years ago when I first started receiving this work, but I will tell you that that is true, which is why I had to be consistent with it. And then you start to understand that that's just science. We come to understand neuroscience, and so we understand how we form certain patterns, neural pathways, and that may be limiting us individually and also collectively, but we can change them. As we start doing that, let's see what happens. Improved relationships. Self mastery fosters empathy, patience, and understanding, allowing for healthier, more balanced relationships with others. And wow, do we have to go through that now? And you're looking at your life and the world and wondering, how do you accomplish that? And I can tell you, because that's what I had to do. Now, heightened confidence and self esteem. Mastering yourself will strengthen your sense of self worth, as you will know you can handle challenges and achieve what you set your mind to. That one was difficult, again, because we will come up to things that we will experience in our lives and think, I can't do this. And I know that you can, because that's always the first reaction that I had as well. But then I thought, okay, let me change my mind about that. And then you start to understand why mindset is so incredibly valuable. Because over time it works, and then when you put that together with understanding science, you see how you start to evolve, and you understand how you can gain control of your emotions and your self empowerment and self actualization. That's all that it is. We all operate in the same way. Alignment with purpose. Self mastery helps you stay connected to your deeper purpose, leading to a life that's successful, meaningful, and aligned with your values. And that is may take some time. And again, during this time in these several past years, that could have been problematic for you, but that's okay, because what that is saying is that you're finding out what is true for you, which is the goal of self mastery. Personal and spiritual growth. Mastery over your inner world facilitates continuous growth as you're more open to learning, evolving, and reaching higher states of consciousness. Many people will look at that and think that doesn't make any sense, because they're only focused on this world right here, and that's all that there is. But I know that we are all consciousness, and that consciousness has always been here. And so we've accepted some of it, and if we're not willing to look at that continuation and deciding to change it for ourselves, because we live now to create something new, and it's within us, then we have spiritual growth, because we're not in these bodies forever. So what are we going to do now? And this is the period that we're in our world, which Wilhelm has called a restructuring, and now it'll make so much more sense to everyone. Then, greater contribution to the world. With a clear sense of yourself, you're better positioned to make impactful contributions through your actions and your influence on others' growth and transformation. Now, that last sentence that's so true, because I spent all these years putting this work together, and then I got to see that working for others, and they were moving faster. And I've told this story so many times, and I was talking to my group last night, and when I first put this work together, I didn't know what it was going to do. I doubted it. And then I started seeing what was happening, and I was shocked. And it caused me to stop a little bit, because it just really surprised me how quickly others were using this work, and they were moving through things that took me decades to understand or come to. and they're figuring it out. And then Wilhelm says, well, that's how it's supposed to work. That's how evolution works. You live something, you figure it out, you give it to others, and this is what you can understand why we have certain inventors or philosophers who've brought in information, and then we all use it, and then somebody else has developed something new, and then everyone else uses it. I've talked about Carl Jung so much because I got to understand that I had been using or understanding what he was talking about in synchronicity. And when you read the message that is on the site, you can achieve self-mastery, you'll see that the dates go back to 2008, which is aligned with movements and changes that happen throughout our universe. And then if you think of this, you'll understand and accept yourself a little bit more and not judge yourself for what you didn't understand, because we're never done. We're always learning more. I'm still doing more, and I haven't finished all of this. So when you think about your consciousness, or the collective consciousness even, there is an element that we all can use right at this time. But then tomorrow we have more, because many more people have reached a higher state of understanding or consciousness, and they've brought that to us. We can see this clearly now because we have artificial intelligence. How did that happen? Why is it going so fast? Why is more and more growing? Because we figured out more things, and then even our electronics are figuring out things as well. That's what happens. That's consciousness. But if we hold ourselves back by staying into the older thoughts and ideas, which means that we can't accept something new, none of us progress. And I'm saying that because I wasn't going to tell anybody that I was putting this together and receiving cosmic guidance. That made no sense to some people. But then you understand that that's all we have is consciousness. Where does it come from? Who had it? Who has the most? We're all the same. It's just that we've been programmed to believe different things over time. And my life was meant to bring in a new philosophy to help bring in this new world where we're more inclusive, where we understand more about ourselves and others, and so that we create a very different world. And when you reach that place, you have this sense of peace. And you've probably heard about this idea of moving to the fifth dimension or a higher state of consciousness. Well, yeah, that's what happens, if you're willing to do it. But if you don't believe that you have that ability, you won't even try. And that's what I've seen so much with people that I speak to about this work. And I do understand that, because it was challenging for me, because it was so unconventional. But Wilhelm said that we're supposed to break the rules. See, the rules are the things from the past that keep us stuck and keep us holding ourselves back. And as you read that message that on the site that says you can achieve self-mastery, the very first one from 2008 says you never intended to carry your past forward. That's all of us. That means the past that was just yesterday or last week that didn't serve us. But when we don't do that, we have conflict within ourselves, and then we experience it in the world. And so it was just really challenging for me to even discover, wait a minute, I was given something that would absolutely change the world. And I can say that because this is what happens, and I'll explain why we see difficulties and challenges in the world, is because we have yet to reach the place of understanding that all humans have value and worth, because we've talked ourselves into something else over centuries, over eons. That's all. And so my work is called Your Life Operating Instructions, because we need it to operate in a new way. And what happens as a result of that is that if you use it, you begin to heal. From someone who's gone through every trauma and every difficult life situation you can imagine, I know that it's true. Now, the only thing that I am doing that I haven't done yet is just putting it all down, because I lived it. I wrote it all down for more than 35 years, every single day. But now I did a test, so to speak, of this in the beginning. That's what I wanted to see, like almost 4 years ago. And it was astonishing. But now I know I need to take it further. And so that's what I'm doing now and finishing all the work. But I wanted to give you this today so you'll understand what my work is. If you're interested, you'll see if you're just reading this one message called You Can Achieve Self-Mastery, that'll tell you a lot right there, because you will see that you will change. The only way that you live your life, but the only manner in which you experience yourself is in your consciousness. There's no one else that has any more than another. It's just what we will decide to do with it. But we also have to recognize that it's been limited. So we have to do the work. That's that shadow work. That's that going within, the inner work, however you think of it. But every single soul has to do it. And when you don't, you become afraid, you don't have any confidence, you're in fear constantly. And I know that one as well because that's how I live. But it also gave me the ability to understand it, which is why I wrote the book, Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom, because that is what it gives you ultimately. And then you start to own yourself. And then you start to develop self-mastery and you fall in love with yourself. When you do that, you start to love others as well. And that's how the world changes. And it took a while to understand that for me, but you can get it much quicker. That's what I'm saying, because that's what we're meant to do. Everyone, you came with something to develop and give to the world, because we all did, if we choose to do that. And when we take that recognition, we're not here forever. So why not do it now? Why not love yourself? Why not take the leap and develop your full potential? Because see, that was the message also that was given to me on that date last year in 2023 that said, it's time to fulfill your potential. But see, sometimes we don't do that. I didn't do it then, but I'm doing it now. I'm saying that to you because you're feeling that there's more for you to do. There's something you have yet to do, or you put it away, or you're procrastinating. Now is the time to do it. When we put in the collective energy of creation within each of us, we change the world, and we have the ability to do that. And now I know that is true because I've lived it. You can as well. Thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. Share it with others and check out all of the work, because if you're looking to develop self-mastery, now you found it. See you soon.